Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda, and this is a vlog of my late autism and ADHD diagnosis. Right now, it's about 6 o'clock p.m., and that's important because this video is a little bit different than anything else that I have done on the channel up until this point. It's towards the end of the night, and what I did was I started this video at the beginning of the day, and I vlogged a few minutes here and there throughout my day to do kind of like a idea of an autistic and ADHD, like what's my daily life kind of look like. So today was just a typical day, nothing big or out of the ordinary that had happened. It might be a little bit on the longer side right now. I looked at the raw footage and before this intro, and then I'm going to film an outro. It's like almost an hour long. I'm sure I'm going to edit that down, hopefully. But I also want to just capture like key moments throughout the day. Today was a pretty good day. I didn't have any like big meltdowns or my energy level was a lot higher than it has been. Autism is a very dynamic disability. I was just talking about this with my husband this morning, actually, and it seems like the last week where I've had this ice storm, which I've talked about in recent vlogs, I've had like a really good day and a really bad day, a really good day and a really bad day. Yesterday, I was really exhausted and tired. There was no way I could have filmed something like this yesterday because this actually did take a lot of energy. But today I was feeling pretty good. And so I was able to kind of vlog throughout the day, which, like I said, took a lot, but it was also really fun. Also, I really understand this video may not be for everybody because there are going to be a lot of jump cuts because I film for, a minute, sometimes a minute and a half, sometimes 5 minutes. And then I'm going to transition to the next scene. So there's going to be a lot of transitions and that may not be for everyone. And I'm sorry. And I apologize for that. But have some of the things that I've learned on this channel is that I will get some good ideas for videos and they're not going to appeal to everybody. And I have to be okay with that because, again, autism, I have a lot of autistic followers, which I really love the community we have, but some of the needs that the different people in the community have, they can't watch certain types of videos. Like the one that I did with music, a lot of people loved it and a lot of people absolutely hated it. A couple videos ago, my dog was snoring really loud in the background, and some people love his snoring and some people are like, sorry, I can't listen to it. And I understand. The other thing I want to note before I cut into the actual video is the fact that I do, in fact, have ADHD, and that is a disability, and being consistent is hard. So a lot of times I was trying to film with my tripod, but sometimes I didn't have it, and it was like, okay, just film because that's more important than going in the tripod and getting off track. And same thing with my mic. I tried to stay consistent and mic up every time throughout the day, but sometimes I would forget and I wouldn't remember until after I filmed that segment. And I didn't want to try to capture stuff. I wanted to keep it as in the moment as possible. So the sound is going to be a little bit fluctuating and I apologize for that. But I'm not a professional and this is like a one-man filming myself all day long. So without any further ado, here's a day in the life of a late autistic and ADHD woman. I hope you enjoy. It's 9:20. I've been laying here, I think, for over an hour, kind of scrolling on my phone, checking comments, watching TikTok a little bit. I'm thinking to myself that I need to get up and get productive with the day. It is Saturday. Not that that really matters because other than on the weekends, the weekdays when I have to, call make doctor's appointments and stuff like that, my weekdays and weekends are pretty similar just from my lifestyle as a stay-at-home homeschool mama. But I actually get a little less stress on the weekends because my brain knows that I can't make any phone calls to doctors because they're closed, and I always have phone anxiety in the back of my head. And being autistic and ADHD, a parent of autistic and ADHD kids, there's so many medical appointments. It feels like I've always got to be making some appointment, whether it's related to autism or just general health, dentist appointments, eye appointments, physicals. It's never ending, and it's always exhausting for me. But on the weekend, places like that are closed, and so I don't have to make those phone calls. And what I'm trying to get at is that it's not like I have to make these calls every day. It's that when I do have to make a call like that, it's always running in the back of my brain, and it takes like 2 or 3 days for me to psych myself up to make the call. So even though the call may only last 5 or 10 minutes, I spend hours in the back of my brain thinking about it and dreading it. And it's all the executive functioning. It's not just the phone call. It's sitting down at my desk, making sure I have all the information. Do I have my insurance card ready if it's a new doctor? Do I have my calendar? Can I figure it out where to make this appointment in their schedule that works with my schedule? It's like all of that causes some of the anxiety. But right now I'm just in like task switching paralysis. That means that like sometimes they call it the ADHD sit. You sit down and it's like getting up to do the next thing can take so much effort. And so yeah, I've just been kind of sitting here. I mean, I'm enjoying my morning, but I could easily get stuck here on the couch without realizing it for like 2 hours, unless I had something pressing I had to do. And I will realize like, oh my gosh, I just lost all that time without being intentional about it. And it's so easy to do. And I know a lot of people will come back to, oh, it's because it's TikTok and you're just scrolling on your phone. But even if I didn't have my phone, I would still do this. I can literally just stare out the window and watch birds. And I'll get stuck just sitting watching the birds for, 30, 40 minutes. It's not technology. It's getting stuck in an ADHD like task switching loop. People want to blame technology, but it's how our brains function. Technology is just what we'll focus on, but I can be just as happy, like my cat is up there bathing. I'll just sit there and just kind of focus on her bathing, and it's very relaxing. And it doesn't matter what it is when my brain is in a task switching loop. So I finally made it off the couch, and I went into my office, and I was going to sit down and start writing. And I saw my teacup that I had on my desk from last night, and I also saw my cat's water bowl sitting on my desk, because that's where I keep one of her water bowls. My son made this, but it was almost empty, so I'm like, okay, I need to refill that. But then I get distracted because I come in and I see that, one, my sink is gross right now. So I'm like, I need to scrub that out. Who else does the knife on the edge of the sink? And it's because we don't like the sound of the metal hitting the sink. So my kids will like put it on the edge so they don't hear it clank in. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, so I'm going to get this scrubbed. The British people are going to die, but I am warming up water in my microwave for some tea. And so I'm just going to go on this like little ADHD journey of cleaning my sink, and hopefully my goal is to get back into my office this morning to start writing, because that's what I really want to do. But I also know I need to take care of other adult household stuff. My eye is bothering me today. Okay, sink is now clean. I just put the dirty dishes in it because the dishwasher is full of clean dishes and I don't want to unload it right now. Once I start cleaning a project like this, it's really hard not to then just hyper focus and like want to clean the entire kitchen, which isn't really bad right now, but it's, could use more work. Like I still have this from making pancakes yesterday morning, that kind of thing. And look at all those crumbs. But I want to get to writing. So I did this task, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, I did one big thing, this part of the sink, instead of the whole kitchen, focusing on just doing the one thing. Now to my office. Here's Echo checking out the new water I just put down. And there's our snowy yard. Hopefully it will finish melting off today. One thing that's really frustrating about the ADHD, like not being able to focus on one thing, is even with intentionality, you get distracted so easily. So, like I was started out this video this morning, like stuck on the couch, and it's like, okay, let's get up and be intentional. Like, I want to intentionally use my time wisely. I want to write today. Remember, I started that video at 9:30. It's already 10 o'clock now because I came in here, saw my tea, the water bowl, and then I was about to I haven't turned on my monitor yet. I was about to turn my monitor, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to film a lot today, maybe I do want to wear makeup. Like, I don't wear makeup every day, but I do like to put on makeup, sometimes, especially when I'm filming what is in my hair. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop before I write, again, getting myself distracted. And I want to put on some makeup. So, I'm narrating this today, but this is literally how my brain works. Like, sometimes something else will catch my attention. It's like I want to write. And part of that's also pathological demand avoidance profile of autism, because, I have both autism and ADHD. And so for me, a lot of times the things that I want to do, then my brain will be like, no, you're not doing that. I used to keep my makeup up in my master bedroom. I had a vanity, but I moved it down here to my office because I learned that I will actually wear makeup more often when it's down here. Because there's a lot of times where I just don't go back upstairs in the morning. So I love this mirror. It folds down completely flat. And then you can either have it like this, or you can lift it up like this. I will link this mirror in my Amazon shop because I love it so much. But yeah, having one of the things that I do as somebody with ADHD is I try to change my environment to match what my brain is wanting. So when it dawned on me that I wanted to wear makeup, but often I wouldn't put it on because that meant going upstairs, which is something like that's another task that you have to do, more executive functioning, like changing locations when a lot of times I'm here at my office anyway. So I'm like, okay, let's just move the makeup to the place where I would actually apply it. So I just have the front of my desk drawer here full of my makeup. I'm not a big makeup girly. I don't have a lot of makeup, so this works for me. I do want to get some more organization because right now it's just like all piled in here. So I'm like constantly sorting through because I moved the makeup without like kind of like, oh, let's make it organized. But I've had it down here now for several months. And I've been wearing makeup a lot more than I used to. And this isn't saying that anybody should have to wear makeup. I do like wearing it sometimes. Sometimes on like really big sensory days, I absolutely, or like if I'm really burnt out and just feeling exhausted, I absolutely won't wear makeup. But a lot of days I do. I like a little bit. I like, because I don't have very many eyelashes. My eyelashes are really pale. So I do like wearing mascara. And I always get compliments when I wear this lipstick. Trying to decide what to film and what to leave out. But I think that we will go ahead and turn on the monitor. And last night I went to bed with 53,656 words on my book. The last thing I'll do before I start writing is I have my Hear Protect earplugs because my family's upstairs talking and they're being quiet, but it just helps me to tune everything out. I've also taken my annoying clock off the wall that has the tick, tick, tick. I need to buy a clock that doesn't have a second hand. But these are my Hear Protect earplugs. I absolutely love them. They did send these to me for full disclosure, but they're so amazing. These are all 100% silicone, so they're super, super soft. And I will wear them to make it where they're noise dampening. So I can still hear if somebody's talking to me, but they lower the volume so much. And then I've got my fidgets. So that way, when I'm trying to like think about what to write next, I can have my fidgets. And then y'all have seen this chair that I've talked about in other videos. It's got the wide base and I love it because I can sit and fidget and I will turn it sideways and I'll have my legs up like crisscross. I'll use it like this to think, and I'll turn it back around, constantly moving in this chair. Bring my legs up, So making my environment again work for me. But I also will pull my hair back up because I love having my hair down, but it often gets too much sensory for me. So up in my bun. Okay, I kid you not. So a few minutes, just barely getting started writing, I get a text message. And I normally have most of my notifications off. Like I don't get notifications from most of my apps, but I do keep text message notifications on. And I had a friend who just texted me something, a link with no context, which gave me the idea for a video because this has happened to me quite a bit lately where somebody will just send me something without notification. And I'm like, oh, that'd make a good TikTok video. So normally I would then record on my phone. But because I'm trying to do like a whole like day in the life of, I'm like, oh, I'll just record it on my tablet. So here we go. I've never recorded on my tablet. It's a little bit different. Oh, this isn't recording. Technology. Got to start this over. As someone with autism and ADHD, one of the things that is really frustrating for me is when somebody will send me a link with no context. Also with memes, but not as much because usually a meme might be something that's like an ongoing joke between the two of us. So I'll get your context. But a lot of times people, I don't get it. It happens to me quite often. People will just send me a link or a video out of the blue. And I'm like, what were you thinking about me specifically when you sent that to me? What is it that you wanted me to get from watching that video or going to that link? So if you've got a friend who is autistic, sending them a little bit of context about why you want them to watch this thing helps so much. And then I'll sit here and edit it and upload it. And eventually I'll get back to my writing. But if I don't stop what I'm doing to post these little videos or thread thoughts that I have throughout the day, then they just disappear into the ether. All right, now let's try to get back to writing. Okay, so now here's where we talk about ADHD time blindness. So I finished my tea and I've been writing. It is now 10 after 11. And I just know that because I just looked at the clock. I have been writing now for a good, I think, solid hour. Because didn't I say I started writing at 10? Well, then I did that little TikTok thing, but that only was like 10 minutes. So a good hour that I have been focused and writing. I'm at now 50, 4,350 words. And it feels like maybe 15 minutes have gone by. Like, I have no concept of time. I'm actually blind to the concept of time passing. Sometimes 15 minutes can feel like 3 hours, and sometimes 3 hours can feel like 15 minutes. And the only reason why I like kind of came out of my writing like thing is because I'm now becoming of the awareness that junk, I need to go to the bathroom. And this is another problem for a lot of autistic and ADHD people, is that we have low interoception. So a couple of things can happen. One, we a lot of times aren't even aware that we need to go to the bathroom until it's like an immediate, like, oh my gosh, I really, really need to go. Or often, like, what I'll do is like, I need to go to the bathroom, but I'm so focused on the writing that I ignore it, like, because I know once I stand up and leave this space and task switch to go to the bathroom, I'm going to see other things in my environment that are going to call my attention away, and it will be a while before I come back to writing. So it's like, once I step away from this, I know that I'm leaving this activity for a while, because even if I do go to the bathroom and then come right back, it takes me a while to get back into the writing mode. And because it is after 11, and in my family, we typically eat lunch pretty early. We usually eat around 11:30, 11:45. So it's like, okay, well, there's no point in getting back into writing because I will need to eat lunch. And that's another thing with the low interoception. I've found that I pretty much need to eat on a schedule, because the interoception that I have for hunger cues is off. If I don't eat on a schedule and I'm like, oh, I'm not really hungry, I'm not going to eat yet, what'll happen is I will wait and I'll get too hungry. And when I'm too hungry, I'm not going to make good choices on my food, because I just need something fast and I just need to just eat. And I don't want to like prep a healthy, meal. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just eat something really small, like a couple bites of cheese, or a couple of crackers, and then I'll prep a meal. But a lot of times it's just like, I don't know, that it's the times when you're standing in the pantry chowing down on chips because you're so hungry that you can't even like think about your food options. And then once I do make a meal or make something up, my interoception also, I never get the cue that I'm full until I'm way past full. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so full. So a lot of times after I'm finished eating, it's a good 30 minutes where I don't feel good because I've eaten too much. Now, this is something I've only recently become aware of. So I'm trying to stop eating before I feel full, but that's also kind of miserable, because I never I never feel satisfied from eating. I never feel like, oh, I'm full. Because it's either, oh, I still feel hungry, I want to eat more, is what my brain is telling me, or, oh my God, I'm too full. I never get just that level of, oh, this is perfect, this is satisfying. So I don't know what to do about that one yet. But sticking to a food schedule does help me not get to that like super hungry state, I've learned. So off to the bathroom, get that handled, and then try to figure out what I want to eat for lunch today. Okay, so here's my daughter Izzy. She's making some homemade macaroni and cheese in the Instapot. And I have really taken to using these salad kits for lunch. And one salad kit for me is 2 days. And this thing is really awesome because it'll seal it back up. And I've been buying frozen popcorn chicken, and it makes the salad extra delicious. Lunch is over. It is now a little bit after noon, and I realized I haven't drank any water yet today. So I just got myself, I love drinking out of mason jars, and this is a wide stainless steel straw. It's big enough to do boba, but I really like the big straw I found. It's got a silicone tip, which I like the texture of. I did have some kombucha with lunch, but so I've had tea, some milk at breakfast, and some kombucha, but I haven't drank any water today. So time to get some H2O in. And I'm going to try to get back to writing. So once again, like trying to get back onto a task it's like a process. Like I usually have to do multiple mini things before I can get back to my main task. I pulled my hair out of my ponytail because it was starting to hurt. My hair goes up and down all day long. But normally I'd be on my phone. My keyboard tray doesn't want to stay out. I'd be on my phone and scrolling while I had my book up on the screen, and it's like one way for me to like switch from this task to that task. But I had an idea that I wanted to type up for my Threads account. I am mind blind on Threads, and so I pulled it up on the computer because again, I'm filming on my phone. So I'm gonna like read it out loud as I type it because I don't know, that'd be kind of a fun way for you to kind of integrate how I use social media throughout my day, because that's kind of, social media has been a special interest of mine since like around 2007, I think, is when I had my first vlog. So on threads.net right now, I'm going to talk about pathological demand avoidance for a bit. Okay, so I said, now that I know I have pathological demand avoidance profile of autism, I can often, but not always in the moment, tell when it triggers. It's usually a very intense feeling, like a toddler inside me saying, no, or I don't want to, you can't make me. The need for my autonomy is incredibly strong. It's frustrating when it comes from inside myself, though. When I want to do something, but PDA will still feel triggered. That one is a little more difficult for me to understand, even for myself. And a couple of things. So with Threads, there's a 500 character limit, which is like a big struggle for me as an autistic person, because I always want to add a lot of context and a lot of more information. So for instance, most of the time I will type out pathological demand avoidance, the whole thing, the first time through, because most people have never heard of PDA profile. And if they hear of PDA, they think of public display of affection. And then a lot of times I want to add that a lot of people, instead of calling it PDA, want to call it pervasive drive for autonomy. And I love including that into the conversation too, because it's more of affirming instead of pathologizing the disorder. But again, you only have 500 characters. And if you go past 500 characters, most people are going to watch it or read it anyway. So I'm going to fix some of the typos that I created in that, and then push send, and then hopefully I will get back on my book. But see, that's the reason why I thought about it, is because like I want to write, but then like parts of my brain are still like fighting against the thing that I actually still want to do. So it's like ADHD, multitask or task switching, and autism PDA can be such a frustration for executive functioning. It just dysfunction. It is dysfunctional. It is disabling, honestly.
Here's the ironic thing about the whole situation is that oftentimes autistic and ADHD people, we apply ourselves so much more than a neurotypical person does. At the end of the day, even though I had so many executive functioning struggles, I still got 2,000 words done on my novel. I also was a parent. I did some chores. I filmed, and now I'm editing an entire video all in one day. And when I looked it up, Stephen King writes about 2,000 words a day. Brandon Sanderson is known for writing about 2,500 words a day. So it's so easy to get frustrated at myself, feeling like I could produce so much more if I could just focus. But when you look at everything that I actually got done, it's quite amazing, actually.
It's now 1:15. I noticed I barely drank any of my water. I just got up to make another mug of tea, And I happened to look down at my Fitbit and noticed I only have 754 steps for the day so far at 1:15. So I'm going to try to do some movement. It's really snowy and the sidewalks are still icy. I don't want to go out for a walk. So I'm going to just do some indoor movement for a little bit. I am working diligently on trying to add more movement purposefully throughout my day because I've noticed I feel better when I try to move my body more. Oh, you took off with it. What? You want Sharky? You want Sharky? Want Sharky? Yeah, you don't want to play? Milo's gonna get it. Milo's gonna get it. You wanna play tough? Come on, Milo, get it. There you go. I got my steps up and movement up a little bit. I went from 750 to 1500. And I did a little bit more writing, and then it's just suddenly out of nowhere, like a wave of exhaustion just hit me. And I'm like, okay, I just need to lay down for a bit. So I'm laying on my couch. This is kind of like a recovery moment. It's like I've done a little too much today, or this moment. Writing the book is taking a lot of mental, power, and so I'm just feeling really tired. And it's not like I can watch TV right now. I want to read my book, but I don't think I'll be able to focus on it. It's really where I just need to just take a few minutes. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 30, and literally just have quiet and recovery time. And I incorporate this in my day fairly often. And if I have days where I don't get to do this, then it leads to burnout the next day. Okay, so since I got up to take a little break, Magic decided she needed my chair. And we have an unspoken rule in my house where we don't move the cat, but we can get her to move by giving her a little brush. And then the seat will no longer be desirable. Oh, she's tolerating. Oh, there. She's tolerating it longer than normal. She hates getting brushed. Here she goes. She needs it though. I know, baby. Look at all this hair. Look at all this hair. There's Watson watching. She doesn't want to give up her seat. Okay, cat successfully relocated, and now I'm about to have a little afternoon snack. This is something that I saw Molly Burke make a couple weeks ago. It's English muffins that's toasted with cream cheese and then cucumbers on top, and then I added everything bagel seasoning. It's not like new. She's probably not the first person who has made this snack, but when I saw her eating it the other day, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. And I've made it now many times since then. Also, you'll notice I'm struggling with the water today. It's still at the same level. I've got to make myself drink it, but the tea is gone, and the cat is checking out the melting snow, it looks like. But let me go ahead and drink some body doubling. Body doubling is a thing, and y'all watching me, holding me accountable, helps me remember to drink some water. Okay, here's another ADHD moment that is very, very frustrating and happens multiple times in a day. So you're focused on one task, and then someone either calls your name, calls you on the phone, text message you. That's why, again, I have most of my notifications turned off, because otherwise, like, I would get nothing done. But I'm sitting here working on my book, and I want to like actually write down a little thing that I'm trying to focus on the plot and try to work it out in my head. And I get a text message that I see pop up on my phone, and I'm like, okay, that's really important. I do need to answer it, but I don't want to lose the idea I had here. So I'm trying to like capture this down while in my head, in the background, going text message, text message, text message, because I don't want to forget to respond to that text message as soon as I finish task one. And it's so hard to like multitask that. Now, the other thing that is interesting, because sometimes I'm very good at going back and forth. For instance, there are times when I can be texting three different people on like two or three different apps. And I've even been texting with my sister on two apps at once, having two separate conversations. So, like, in we'll be texting each other, for instance, in the Instagram Messenger, because it will start from a video we shared, and we'll have a conversation about that. At the same exact time, we're sending text messages on our phone about a separate conversation, and we'll keep both conversation flows going in the two different spots at the same time, while sometimes I'm texting a third or fourth friend. Like, I can keep all those multiple conversations in my head. That's like the only thing I'm doing, but I could do all of that at once, and it's crazy. But sometimes, like, focusing on one thing will make me absolutely forget that someone texted me while I was doing that thing. There's no rhyme or reason. And then, of course, today, trying to film everything while also doing it is, outside of the norm, and adding a level of difficulty, but, still kind of fun. The other thing I wanted to say, hold on, it's already going out of my head. Hold on, I'm going to try to capture it. The fact that we can like lose what we're about to say mid sentence is a phenomenon that will never cease to amaze me. I don't know. I've just been staring into space for like 3 minutes. Cannot remember what my thought was. So if it comes back to you, I will pop back on and tell you about it. Ooh, husband asked me to go jump in the hot tub with him. So that's going to be fun in the snow. Hot tub time. Just got out of the hot tub and I'm back into my PJs because today's another PJ day. Like, pretty much, like, most of the days in my life are PJ days, unless I actually have to go somewhere. But I have wanted a hot tub for as long as I can ever remember. When growing up, I loved taking baths. I was always a bath girly and I hated showers. And now I realize a lot of that has to do with autism, because I don't like showering and having wet hair on my body, but in a bathtub, the wet hair doesn't cling to your body. So that's why I think that I've always preferred baths. But circling back, I love having a hot tub where you can just get in your swimsuit and pop out. You don't have to wait for the tub to fill. It's always nice and warm. I love it. But it takes me a long time to regulate my temperature after I get out of the hot tub. A lot of times I'm just like, oh, I'm dying because then I got too hot. Same thing with baths. Every time I take a bath, when I get out of the bathtub, I'm always so hot. But anyway, I'm trying to just like regulate my temperature right now. I enjoy the hot tub, but I've like gotta cool down. And then it'll be time for me to start dinner. And I've talked about this a little bit on the channel and some on my other cooking channel, the Neuro Spicy Mama. Cooking used to be one of my special interests. And since hitting burnout and learning I'm autistic, I've done a 180 and I really actually don't like cooking at all anymore. And it's a struggle because I still have to eat. It's not like if most people, if their special interest ended, then they could like tuck it away in a closet. Unless a lot of autistic people get in the trouble of if they monetize their special interest and that's how they make their living, and then they like get done with it, then that becomes a problem for them, and that's another reason why some people will hit burnout. And I do think some of my burnout was related to me starting a cooking channel, because it was my special interest and I loved it and I wanted to make a cooking YouTube channel. So I threw myself into cooking so much more than ever before. And yeah, and I basically, burnt myself out on cooking and then just hit autistic burnout, which are two different kind of things, but they collided at once. But now I still have to cook dinner, feed my family. And so I'm relearning how to eat to live instead of live to eat. I think both philosophies are valid. Like some people, they live for food. And that's how I always used to be. And when I hear people say they live to, they eat just to live, like, that's kind of boring. Like I love food. And I loved cooking and I loved talking about food. And so I was one of those people who like lived to eat. And now it's like, no, I need to eat because that's like important. But I've really lost my love for cooking completely. But tonight I'm wanting to do a pasta dish that I haven't cooked in a while. I'm going to try to keep it easy and see how it goes. But after that, I might do one or two more segments and then I think I'm going to edit. Anyway, this is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video, but I think it's hopefully interesting. Just a typical day in my autistic ADHD life. I'm laughing, hair up, hair down, hair up. Anyway, before I go to make dinner, I just looked at my calendar for the next week because, I mean, today's Saturday, but I was like trying to remember what I had going on coming up. And I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday for an appointment that I made back at the end of September. My doctor is that booked out for non-emergency visits. And it's to talk about ADHD meds again. And I love my doctor, but one, I don't like the availability that she has lately. Obviously, September, October, November, December, January is beyond ridiculous. She put me on an ADHD medicine back last March, I think, which I had a physical reaction to the medication. And so it was a very long, complicated story. She sent me to an allergist. The allergist is like, I can't do anything for you. And I had my foot surgery in there. And so like, there's a lot of reasons why I didn't get back to my doctor right away about the ADHD medicine. But like sometime in September, I called to make another appointment, like, hey, let's get this going again. And literally end of January is when she had her next available appointment for a non-emergency appointment. And I'm really nervous because I feel like there's just a lot to say and communicate to her in such a short, appointment time. And as an autistic person, I get very overwhelmed at the doctor. Normally I would actually bring my husband. Before my foot surgery, I brought my husband to a doctor's appointment for the first time. Having a support person there was amazing and very helpful and calming. He didn't really even have to say much. Just having him there, knowing that like he was listening to everything the foot surgeon said to me really helped. But my husband will be taking our son to occupational therapy that day because that's something I normally do, but since I have a doctor's appointment that was scheduled 5 months ago, so I don't really want to cancel occupational therapy. So husband's gonna do that. I'm gonna go to the doctor for myself. I got to get it in my head ahead of time, like maybe take some notes, like figure out everything I want to say, and just hope that she will continue to see me and like see me on a more regular basis, obviously. She'd recommended that I find a psychiatrist for my kids for their ADHD meds, which I did. But when I tried to find a psychiatrist for myself, it didn't go very well. And so she said she would do my medic management at that point. But then I think her practice just got really busy. So I hope she doesn't change her mind on that. But I don't know. We'll see. Now, I almost wish I hadn't looked at my calendar because, like I said, it's Saturday and now I'm already starting to feel very anxious about this doctor's appointment. And I don't want to spend the next 4 days feeling anxious about the doctor's appointment. And it's so frustrating. And there's just so much to consider and think about and be worried about. Like, it took my kids like 3 or 4 times to get on the right ADHD medicine that worked for them. And, I've gone this long without ever taking ADHD medicine. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. But then I've heard so many people who late diagnosed are like, it was life changing. So worth it. And if it could make a difference, then I think it's worth trying it. It's just the fact that the medical system makes ADHD medicine so inaccessible that that's the frustrating part. That's what's holding me up. And that sucks. It sucks to have the availability and the medicine, the medical care out there, and then have no access to it as somebody who actually has really good insurance, and it's still inaccessible. Anyway, I need to put it out of my head and go try to make some dinner. All right, well, I'll keep this short and sweet. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope that I provided some kind of insights and like maybe normalized some of the things that you might be feeling throughout the day that we struggle about. There's a lot of things that autistic and ADHD people do and think throughout the day that we just don't talk about. And so I hope I captured some of those things on film. So we'll see. I can't wait to see what your comments are. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this was just a pretty normal average day. Obviously, my days are very different depending on what's going on in that day. I'm a stay-at-home mom who homeschools my kids. Some days I'm out and about, some days I'm home. Today was a completely day where I didn't even leave the house. If I had left the house, things would have looked a lot different. Even going to the grocery store is sometimes can be add more overwhelm to my day. So not always, depends on my window of tolerance for that day and how regulated my nervous system is. Oh, I did want to say the reason why I'm ending at 6 p.m. is because I'm going to spend probably the next 2.5 hours editing and uploading. It might take even 3 hours. So basically the rest of my evening, I'm going to edit and upload this video to have it ready for tomorrow morning. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. But the rest of my evening is going to be editing. And then the other thing that is very important to note as an autistic person who really likes to have routine, like I talked about having routine in my day for my meal times, my evening routine is fairly rigid. And when my evening routine changes ahead of time, at last minute, I get really kind of stressed. After dinner, unless we have something planned together as a family, I'm often usually doing computer work. Sometimes that's when I'll do my yoga. It's kind of like my me time of the day. I get a lot of me times because my kids are older, but like after dinner is really just like my time. And then I'll spend some time with the kids. And then my husband and I will usually watch a show together and then we'll go to bed. And it's just like that evening flow is always very, very consistent and the same. If for some reason I don't get to watch the show before bed, that really throws off my routine. And before my diagnosis, it was always so confusing. It's like, it's just a TV show. Who cares? But it's like, I need that like routine in order to get my brain to settle for the night. So I'm not going to bring y'all through my nighttime routine, but I just kind of try to summarize it. But anyway, hope you enjoy, and until the next video, bye guys.